Welcome to Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime with Jason and John, as we give you a quick 15 to 20 minutes of inside opinion and updates about the world of anime as we see it. This program is brought to you by the Parker Williams Branch, a Harris County Public Library. Let's go over the rules. This is a planned topics podcast. We will try and stick to the topic at hand and not have too many tangents. Number 2, while recording, we will have a 15-minute timer. We will try to wrap everything up within that 15 minutes. If we are having a good conversation towards the end of that time, there will be a bonus 5 minutes to wrap it up. Number 3, if the conversation is still too good to stop, we will stop recording that episode and start recording an overtime episode back-to-back released on the same day. And a fair warning, spoilers happen. Oops, our bad. Hey everybody, we're back here for another episode of Is It Wrong to Watch So Much Anime?
I wouldn't know. I haven't been watching too much lately.
Tisk. So, libraries are open again, so you can come on in and browse our manga and anime selections. Hence why we are not in our usual anime t-shirts and yeah.
Yeah, I know. I have to wear like slacks or khakis now instead of jeans. It's one of the hardest days of my life.
Yup. So today we are going to be talking about the 90s. So hey, it's the 90s. We're going to start off with some totally sweet morning cartoons. To be honest, Sailor Moon, the first one, 1992, is the first anime that I ever saw because it was in between Exo Squad and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So as a kid, before going to school, I would tangentially watch Sailor Moon. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't all like, but I knew that there was Sailor Moon, there was Tuxedo Mask, there was a cat, Luna, and then there were like other Sailor Scouts. So I knew it existed.
I have seen exactly one episode because back when VHSs still existed, my sister checked one out from the library. And I don't even remember what it was about. I do remember there was Sailor Moon, and I just assume she sails moons, and the guy who wears a bunch of suits, who was, going after her, or she was going after him or something. But, I mean, it's supposed to be one of the, what is it, quintessential magical girl shows, I guess?
Probably one, yeah,
so,
I would say so.
I mean, it's still being remade or redone or thing to this day, so it's obviously had a really big impact. I just haven't gotten around to watching it.
Yeah. So here's a summary. So Usagi is an average student until she saves a cat. With a crescent moon on its head from danger, the cat, named Luna, later reveals that Usagi is destined to become Sailor Moon, a planetary guardian with the power to protect the Earth. Now, given a special brooch, that thing that she's always wearing, that allows her to transform, magical girl transform, because there's always one of those, she must use her new powers to save the city from evil Queen Beryl of the Dark Kingdom, who kind of hangs out on the moon. Kind of Power Rangers-ish. She must find the lost princess of the Moon Kingdom and the other Sailor Scouts and the legendary Silver Crystal in order to save the planet from destruction. So,
and again,
there's
so many Sailor Moon things that are still being remade. There's Sailor Moon, RS, Super, Stars, Crystal, Eternal.
So Eternal's the one that's going to be coming out on Netflix. So if you want to get into the franchise, there should be 2 Sailor Moon movies, Sailor Moon Eternal, that will probably be like the modern remake where we can get into it without, having seen the 7 other series. Crystal did play, the Crystal movie did play in theaters like 2 years ago.
I was barely getting into anime 2 years ago, so that explains why that was like not even on my radar.
Yeah, and that's
honestly,
our manager Michael and his wife went and saw it, I believe.
60% of these are probably not things I'm gonna know about. This is another John heavy episode because my anime comes from more like the modern era of mid 2000s to present, or like 2 seasons ago. But we'll see what we get.
Moving forward. Booyah! Toonami. So Toonami was a program that was after school. It brought anime and a bunch of different other programs on pretty much like 98 to, like 2008. So it was
Something
after
like
school anime that you could watch. I watched it like middle school. So I was like right in that era. It was the first time that I actively watched anime because I wanted to, not just because I had to before Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came on. All right, so one of the first shows that they aired was Yu Yu Hakusho, another 1992.
I have not watched it yet, but I do want to watch it, and here's why. The creator of Hunter x Hunter, I don't know his name. I do, but I'm not going to say it because it's going to mess up. And I also kind of forgot. It's a brain fart. Anyways, the creator of Hunter x Hunter did this before that, I think, right?
Yeah.
So, and I mean, I've watched Hunter x Hunter at least like 4 or 5 times.
Wow.
I know. I've shown people, and then I've rewatched with them, and then I showed more people, and I'm like, you know what? I want to watch this. So I feel like this one's going to be it is a good one. I know it is because I've heard good things about it.
Well, all these picks that we have for today are basically like hot topic picks. You have seen, if you don't recognize it right away, you've seen the merch at Hot Topic for us, millennials to buy.
I don't shop at Hot Topic.
Well, some people do. So in
I try not to go out much, sir. Thank you.
In Yu Yu Hakusho, you have Yusuke, 14-year-old delinquent who throws himself in front of a moving car to save a young child. Because he was doing the ultimate sacrifice, the authorities of the spirit realm basically are gonna let him pass on being, a delinquent. So you have Konima, I think that's how you say it.
No, the way you spelled it says Koenma.
Koenma?
I don't know. I haven't watched this. I don't know the character.
Basically, he's going to be the king of the spirit world.
I got you, though. I'll look
And he
it up.
offers Yusuke an opportunity to regain his life by thwarting evil as a spirit detective. So basically what happens is he has a bunch of adventures and he starts building a crew of other people, including his ex-rival Kazuma and 2 demons, Haie and Kurama, who have criminal pasts. So it's basically a bunch of delinquents getting together, training, fighting against enemies that would otherwise threaten humanity's very existence.
It says Koenma, so I don't know. I'll watch it, and then I'll tell you if I remember that I was trying to figure out the name.
I mean, I watched it, I just don't remember that well. All right, now, one of my favorites.
Okay, this is John Stink, so I'm just going to go ahead and look down, and
Shuffle
I'll see
your
you
papers.
guys. Yeah, I'll see you guys later.
So, Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. This is one of the first Mobile Suit Gundams that really broke open the market, especially to younger watchers, because there hadn't been like a huge Gundam breakout in a long time. So the Earth Sphere Alliance is a military organization that has ruled both Earth and space colonies with an iron fist for decades. So when the colonies proclaim their own opposition to this, their leader is assassinated. Now, in the year after, it's called Year After Colony, so 195, there are bitter colonial rebels that have launched what's called Operation Meteor, which is an operation to send 5 powerful mobile suits to Earth for vengeance. Built out of virtually indestructible material, in this timeline they call it Gundaminium alloy, so they call them Gundams. Begin an assault against the Alliance and its sub-organization Oz. So we have the person we follow throughout the story is Hiro Yui and his efforts to undermine the UESA and meet up with his fellow Gundam pilots. So this is one where there's 52 episodes, so it ran for about 4 seasons. Really, it's...
Cores.
Whatever. It is the first Gundam that I really watched and fell in love with, and there's also a movie.
I feel like he says that about all the Gundams, though.
Yeah, well. Gundam Wing Endless Waltz is the movie. I don't believe it is, because Gundam does a thing where they just take all of the season and then crush it into a movie, and then you could basically just watch the movie to get the gist instead of spending 13 hours watching it. But yeah, Toonami also had another one called Fighter G Gundam, which was a complete piece of trash. So don't bother with that.
You could also just not bother with Gundam.
Yeah, no.
Anyways, in the time it took him to do that, I was able to draw Mr. Toad. So we can probably zoom in on that, right?
No.
You should.
No.
It's good. You should.
All right, so moving forward, as if after school. So after school, lots of kids in 97 started watching Pokemon.
Now I can contribute because honestly, if you don't know anything about Pokemon, you're like living under a really, really huge rock.
So you've got the card game, you've got the anime.
Video games, they have manga, they have all
Everything.
this merch. Yeah, I mean, it is still around.
It's its own universe. So setting off on a journey to
Where a
become the
young
very
boy
best.
Does not age past 10. Just FYI.
So we have Satoshi, our version Ash, and Pikachu travel across beautiful sprawling regions with their friends Kasumi, Misty.
I'm gonna need you to just say the
regular ones?
names,
Okay.
because I don't know these. I know Misty, Brock, Ash. All right. I watched this before I knew what anime was. Okay,
Yes.
so I wasn't even.
This takes you back.
It's not even about like listening to it in Japanese or anything. These are the characters. That's all it is.
Well, like Speed Racer instead
I've
of
never
Go.
watched Speed Racer, but like how. Well, I'll bring it up in the next one that we talk about. Keep going.
So basically, danger lurks around every corner, and when the infamous Team Rocket is always nearby to seek and steal powerful Pokemon through their nefarious schemes. So it'll be up to Ash and his friends to thwart their efforts as they go along the Kanto region and collect all 8 gym badges. And then become the master of all Pokemon.
Yeah, but he never. Well, spoilers. I don't think he ever actually wins a championship type thing until like very recently. Because I remember there was a big article saying Ash finally wins his gym leader badge, 20-something years. I'm like, what the
Well,
heck?
I think it's because there's always a bigger challenge.
Still,
It's how they bait you.
but again, it's still going on. They're still making Pokemon. So, and you really don't need to have watched anything from before.
No.
So,
No. You could just jump into almost any game and it explains
I think
itself.
Netflix has one that's going on right now. So, and I've heard it's pretty good.
Many movies, so from Pokemon 2000 to Detective Pikachu, you can jump in anywhere you want. All right. Also, after school was Yu-Gi-Oh!
See, this is the one I watched.
This is your jam.
This is the one that I got really into, and I don't even know why. I don't know if it was because it looked cool or the idea of a card game where cards come to life, but I got down the rabbit hole. I didn't watch it in order because, again, it's after school or like Saturday mornings when you wake up and you just see what's on. But I remember getting really into this to the point where I still have a bunch of cards. I mean, if you ever want to like come in and say, hey, is the nerd here that has Yu-Gi-Oh cards, you want to duel? It's like, oh,
If you want to duel, Jason's up for it. So come on down.
But it was just really cool. I liked it. It was weird.
It was.
You get a little guy who gets a Millennium Puzzle, right?
So,
He solves
Yugi.
it. And then he now has an older version of himself that was a pharaoh but looks just exactly like him, even though it's like 5,000 years ago.
Known as the King of Games.
Yeah. And I mean, it's full of all the usual things like, oh, you have to believe in friendship. Part of the cards, whatever. They made it sound cooler, so I'll give it a pass. But it's a lot of the show has just stayed with me for a long time. And I really like it. I've actually felt like going back and watching it now that I've had like, 10-something years from it, just to see if it still holds up.
All right, so you got Yugi treasures his Millennium Puzzle, like you said, an ancient Egyptian artifact that brings out his new personality, Yami Yugi, the King of Games, in which any injustice that goes towards Yami is now crushed as Yami Yugi forces them into the Shadow Game. And whoever loses gets...
Shadow Realm is still a really big thing in pop culture, guys, just so you know.
So, taste the darkness that resides in their own heart. All right, now let's go with the bomb first loves. So, one of my first loves would be Cowboy Bebop. Great music, great soundtrack, really, really great starter anime for anyone who is interested in getting someone else into anime. So, in the year 2071, humanity has colonized several planets, moons, and other places in the solar system, such as Mars, and is now abandoned the uninhabitable surface of the Earth. The inner solar system police attempt to keep the peace in the galaxy, aided by outlaw bounty hunters referred to as cowboys. Enter the ragtag team of Spike and Jet, who are the crew members of the Bebop, who make a living chasing bounties and collecting rewards. Thrown off course by the addition of new members Ein, Faye, and Ed, they embark on thrilling adventures and unravel each episode goes and unravels each one's like dark past.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, it's really cool. I watched it about a little early into when I started watching anime, because I watched some other stuff first and then I finally got into it. And it's got some really good episodes. It does have a kind of overarching story, but it's not tied to it. So every episode can be watched almost on its own. So, and I liked it because it was easy to just start something, then stop it for a little bit, then start it again. And then the ending is always really good.
Oh. Well, it's well balanced and high action. So, and it comes in with a lot of comedy, so you can laugh at it, you can enjoy the music. It's got, like the Western type theme that Americans love, the whole bounty hunters and things like that.
And then there's just some episodes where they do something completely different. Like they
Heavy
just
Metal Queen.
swap the genre. And then there's the one that I always remember. I've only watched like one time. It's the one with the killer like clown, clown, but Pire Fu.
Pire, yeah.
That one I always remember because that was freaky.
Yeah.
It was really good. It's the same thing. It was created by Shinichiro Watanabe, and honestly, if you don't know him, just pick a show.
Yeah.
Really, you can start with this, but all his other ones have been great. There's this, Samurai Champloo, Carol and Tuesday, Space Dandy. Space Dandy's pretty funny.
So all pretty heavily influenced by music. This was how I got my wife to start watching anime after a boyfriend who completely ruined her
Made her
to
watch
anime.
weird stuff.
Yeah, bad weird stuff. So I would play the soundtrack and then I would shut it off and she'd be like, "What was that from?" I'd be like, "Oh, nothing." And I did that for long enough where she was like, "Tell me where it's from." And then I showed her and she fell in love.
Gave her the first taste for free, and then it got her hooked.
Yup. All right. My first absolute, I had to buy this on DVD, and all the merch that I could find, was Triget. So, 1998, Vash the Stampede is the $60 billion double dollar man who is said to be a merciless villain who lays waste to all those who oppose them and flattens cities for fun, calling him the Humanoid Typhoon. He leaves a trail of death and destruction wherever he goes, but Vash really is a huge softie who claims to have never hurt anyone and avoids taking lives at all costs. Now, he is crazy and donut obsessed and has...
Anyone would be, yeah.
Yeah.
Donuts.
And has two women, Meryl and Millie, from the Burnite Daily Insurance Agency that trail him trying to, I guess, soften the blow.
Assess the damage he causes, isn't it, or something?
Trying to stop him from
I guess from
exploding whole parts of the planet. So, but soon enough, their adventures lead them into life and death situations as a group of legendary assassins are summoned to bring about suffering.
Again, this is anime. It's going to get real weird.
Yeah. So Vash's agonizing past will be unraveled and his morality and principles pushed to the breaking point.
This one is pretty good. I watched this one probably around the time I watched, or probably before that, Cowboy Bebop. I probably watched them around the same time or tried them because for the money systems that they both use, this one's double dollars and Cowboy Bebop was like Wulong or something. I got them switched because for the longest time I was watching, when I started Cowboy Bebop again, I'm like, why are they saying Wulong? What the heck? Isn't this double dollars? But no, it's this thing. And they came out about in the same year, so that's probably why I got it confused. But they're both really good for their own reasons. They're not the same thing at all, even though they're both in space or
Ish.
space floor exploration-ish.
Sci-fi and westerny.
Yeah. So
All right. So if you want to just jump in and you don't want to watch the whole series, Trigon also has a movie, Badlands Rumble, available here at the library, that you can get. Again, my favorite anime, my first love, what really brought me into anime and buying all the things.
Steins Gate for me.
All the things. All right.
Amazing.
So let's talk about some banging blockbuster rentals. So the first one is Ghost in the Shell.
Have not watched it.
So this is the original 1995 Ghost in the Shell, not the live-action remake. So in the year 2029, Niha City has become a technologically advanced metropolis. Due to great improvements in cybernetics, its citizens are able to replace their limbs with robotic parts. The world is now more interconnected than ever before, and the city's Public Security Section 9 is responsible for combating corruption, terrorism, and other dangerous threats following this shift towards globalization. So you've got Major Makoto Kusanagi of Section 9 spearheading a case that involved a hacker known as the Puppet Master, who leaves a trail of victims who are stripped of their memories, otherwise known as their ghost. As Section 9 follows the enigmatic criminal's trail, the case forces them to confront the extremely complicated nature of sentient existence. So, like, what makes a person a person?
Real heavy topics.
Pondering about various philosophical questions such as her own life's meaning, Motoko soon realizes that the one who will provide these answers to the Puppet Master, who will provide the answers, is none other than the Puppet Master himself. So this is a cult classic. There is big controversy over the remake because they put in Scarlett Johansson instead of an Asian lady actress. I've seen this 2 or 3 times at midnight movies. It has spawned plenty of series. So
it's still doing it because they just had one on Netflix.
Yep.
And I still have not watched a single one.
There is Second Gig.
I
There
promise.
is the Arise series. There are multiple movies. The second one that they called the second movie.
Is that really what they called it?
Yeah, they called it the second movie.
That's not good naming.
Yeah. As well as Innocence and a few others. So Ghost in the Shell, really, really good. All right, now Neon Genesis Evangelion, another one that I've bought tons of merch for. So in the year...
And they're still coming out with stuff.
2015, so like 6 years ago, the world stands on the brink of destruction as humanity's last hope lies in the hands of NERV, a special agency with giant combat mechs called Evangelion, capable of defeating the angels who have heralded the Earth's ruin. Now, face to face with his father for the first time in years, 14-year-old Shinji Ikari's average life is irreversibly changed when he is whisked away into the depths of NERV and tasked now with becoming the pilot of Evangelion Unit 01 and guide the fate of mankind. So Evangelion's got a ton of content. You've got the original series. You've got Death and Rebirth.
End of Evangelion. 1.0,
So,
you're not alone.
yeah, so
2.0, you cannot advance.
the
3.0.
These are the 3 new movies. Well, actually,
4.
Technically 4. So they're
Because
remaking the
3.0
whole thing.
Plus 1.0.
Yeah, so there's a 1, a 2, a 3, and a 3 plus 1. I don't get their... And then in America, if you buy it on Blu-ray, it's 1.11, 2.22, 3.33. Then, and they haven't even released 3.1 plus 1.0. Basically, Evangelion has been in the Japanese
Cultural identity.
Yeah, cultural identity. It is in theme parks. There's a theme park. There are rail cars. There's merch. All sorts of for one of the anniversaries, you could get your rail pass that was Evangelion themed. There's an Evangelion store in Japan. They sell at I think Daiso. They sell merch. I mean, it's everywhere. Yeah.
It's still referenced in a bunch of other animes too. There's a show called Grand Blue streaming. It's on Amazon. It's really funny. It's about college kids being part of a dive club. Anyways, they're out shopping for equipment, and
Oh, yeah, you showed me that.
they find these wetsuits that are red and blue, or red and like white and bluish, for
The plug suits
Asuka's
that...
and Rei's suits. And one of the guys is a huge,
Nerd.
Anime nerd, so he's like bowing down to it and praying to it or something. It's really funny. You should check that one out too. But
All right, now let's name some of these hella honorable mentions. So, other things from the 90s that you may want to watch. So the first one is Outlaw Star.
haven't watched it.
So if you like sci-fi action, this one is fantastic. Kind of reminds me a little bit of some elements are kind of Cowboy Bebop-ish, and other elements are The Expanse-ish.
I like The Expanse.
Unraveling this mystery around like a new technological development. There's also Card Captor Sakura. So if you liked,
haven't watched it.
another classic, lots of remakes, lots of second shows afterwards. So if you like Sailor Moon, you'll probably also like Card Captor Sakura. And then if you liked Big Mech Activity, The Big O.
Also haven't watched it. I mean, there's a recurring theme on all these shows. There's like,
I mean, he bought it for me for Christmas. So, I mean, I love The Big O. Same voice as Spike as the main character.
Okay.
So, yeah, really interesting.
I will eventually get to all of these. Eventually. After I get through the other 500 things I have on my plan to watch list.
Pretty much.
I think it's like 900 actually. We'll say 500. That sounds more normal, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
We'll go with
500
that.
it is.
All right. Now, sadly, it is time to go.
I'm not going to say that.
And
but
bid you
can. No.
a bye.